live from the Purple Cow Branding Studios.
Welcome to Network Today. I'm Sheryl Powers.
I'm Rob Bliss.
And we're here to take you from meeting people to
making money.
Yes, I love that sound. So we're here to help you shorten up that long relationship game. I have had a lot of conversations about this recently. I don't know if it's because it's the holidays or whatever, but
people are gearing up, setting their goals for 2023. So, I think that's kind of a big part.
Yeah, and I wonder too if, Rob, people are quantifying their networking investment, right? They're trying to quantify their time.
Oh, absolutely. I think people are reflecting back on the January of this year, and now here we are. 11 months, yes. Only like 37 more days to go to Christmas. Yeah, I think you're right, though. I think people are kind of in that reflective mode of saying, what happened this year?
Yeah. So which makes this theme, today's topic, extra special because it's accountability.
Oh, yeah. Sheryl, this is big time. Accountability. When I started, thinking about it, doing some research on it, I said, oh, my gosh, I need a do-over.
Well, we need to be able to measure our time so that we get an investment back. And this episode, I think, is really going to be helpful. This is high level accountability, right? Because we discovered as we were having these conversations that there are a lot of different layers to accountability. Mm-hmm. But we're going to really talk about kind of the high level overall accountability that's needed in networking.
Well, I think what first that comes to my mind is how we avoid accountability.
Oh, who's the expert on that one? Would that be me or you? It'd be me too.
I think I got that hands down.
I'm your co-pilot.
Oh yeah, it's just why do we avoid this word, and I guess, it's all about, again, by being held accountable. It's like someone's tied my hands together. Yep. And, I'm in jail or something like that. I don't want that. I got to be free. I don't want to be tied down. But we're looking at it from the wrong mindset. Mm-hmm. You got to look at it from the fact there's a lot of freedom in accountability because it's going to help us be more successful.
Well, you've been in a sales position, right?
Yes.
So, as an employee, that was sell. So as in my sales career, we always had pipeline forms, right? Mm-hmm. Or your weekly activity form. And it has to show all of the stuff that's happening, all the people you're calling on. And the beauty of that is that it exposes the weakness, right? Because it makes you sit down and say, oh, I don't have nearly enough. I need to go out and get more. And what I do have is weak. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Right. And so that's why I think that as entrepreneurs, though, we can choose to steer away from that accountability factor and not face the reality that there's not enough happening.
And, and that's really the worst thing that can happen to an entrepreneur. And I reflect on my year. We've had a pretty good year. And I'm very excited what we accomplished this year. But as I went through the accountability research that I did this week, it's like, wow, if I only had done this, I could have blown this year apart, So so this really was a big wake up call for me. Yeah. And I am committed to making the new goals and getting that accountability partner, which we'll talk about in a little bit, so that I can achieve bigger goals next year.
Right. So, and as we discussed this, the accountability really applies across the board. So generally speaking, accountability, when I was doing my research, like B2B networking accountability, everything came up like, how can you manage your team, a management team better? Mm-hmm. How can you manage sales teams better? There were a lot of articles on that. But really, when you start reading the articles, it applies to us in our networking world.
Yes.
So whether we're talking about our own sales funnel or work funnel or income funnel, or we're talking about, and this was the conversation we had with our amazing guest, George, who's coming up shortly here. And his accountability, our discussion with him about accountability was about with another person.
Right.
Right. His accountability in the networking world. So the accountability factors really apply universally across the board.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more.
And what does this say on the wall here? So the 7 life steps. What's number 6? Can you read that?
Number 6 it's on you.
That's right. When I saw that when I walked in, I'm like, hello. I don't think I've seen that at all but today it was like, it's on you, Sheryl. Like, no.
I mean, that's a major point because anything we do, it's up to us.
Right.
And it's so easy to shift that mindset by blaming other people, by whining, complaining, whatever. No, let's stop it. Stop it right now. Yeah. It's about us. We got to do it ourselves. We got to take control.
Right. Kind of back to Robert Hunt's book.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody cares because the buck stops with you. They don't. Yeah. Nobody cares what your problems are, what my problems are. Right. They just want to know that we're solving their problem.
Well, I liked this week too when I wanted to say, what does accountability really mean? And so I tried to look for a new definition of that. Okay. And one that struck me the most was accountability is the glue that ties commitment to the result.
Okay.
And I went,
That's good.
Yeah. Let me say that again. Accountability is the glue that ties the commitment to the result. So saying that we got to take action. Yeah. We got to do something about this.
Yeah. There's some stick-to-itiveness with that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like that. Whoa.
That's right. Maybe my word of the week, stick-to-itiveness.
There you go. I like that.
I'm going to make a switch. This is interesting too. So if you don't mind, I want to bring this person up because I want to start listening to her podcast, or certainly this one. So this is Tanya Dalton. And you can go to Tanya, Dalton, DALTON.com. And she actually is a podcast on networking accountability. Right. And here's what she said. I didn't listen again to the podcast, but this is part of the written portion. And she said, networking is about connecting with people who understand your struggles, who want to help celebrate your wins, and who are there to offer advice and tips when needed. Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, that really does embody a great accountability partner.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you want somebody who wants to celebrate your wins, not just bad Rob, bad Sheryl. You did bad this week. No, you want somebody who really celebrates your wins. Yes. So they want to bolster you up. They want to edify you. And hence, that's where the construction can come in.
And that's perfect for, because when you're in sales, we do get a lot of rejection. And so we need those cheerleaders behind us to keep us going.
Yeah, absolutely. We do. So I thought that was really interesting, and I'm going to have to research that further. So we have a lot more to talk about in regards to accountability and some steps, some action items for you. But in the meantime, before we get to our outstanding, dashing and debonair guest, George, we're going to give you our Grand Slam, which is our success of the week. I didn't even ask you what yours is.
Oh, I've got a good one. Stay tuned.
All right. When we come back.
A small business is still a business. At Purple Cow Branding, we want to help you execute your greatest visions for your company. Purple Cow works for small businesses that don't have big budgets to spend on their marketing efforts. Inquire now at purplecowbranding.com to be the biggest little guy around. Purple Cow Branding, much more than digital marketing.
All right, so we're back for our Grand Slam. Even though I know we're out of baseball season, we're into football season. It's still okay. It's still applicable. But this is our success because we really like to celebrate these.
Absolutely.
Because when you can celebrate, you can keep your eyes focused on the win. It helps you get through the junk of life. So what's yours?
Okay, I've got a neat one this week, Sheryl. It's about collaboration. And I got a tremendous lead, which turned into a sale from one of my competitors. But then I got to look about it is she really a competitor? But she's a marketing person, Lynn Barrett, who you know. Mm-hmm. And, you go to her website and so on, and she does all this marketing stuff. Well, that's what I do. But we have, and this is where, again, I love about networking, is that we've become, over the last year, that we've become good friends. And we've become where we enjoy helping our customers.
Right.
And you've got to do the right thing. And if I can't provide that for my customers, let's collaborate with our partners. And this is what I love about networking. And Lynn is a great partner.
She is.
A great collaborator. Well, she was working with one of her clients that needed some help on her website and some social media. And that's out of her wheelhouse. Yeah. And so she calls me in. And the last probably month, 6 weeks, we've been working with her client. And then this week we closed the deal. And the client is so happy that Lynn and I are working together. She feels a lot more comfortable than the other digital marketing agency that was involved. She sees the relationship that Lynn and I have built with one another. And that's the great thing about networking is how you can collaborate with your competitors.
Yeah, absolutely it is. Collaboration is so key. Well, and exploration first that leads to collaboration, right? Because you never know, but you're so brilliant at that. There's so many people who are like, oh, competitor, I'm not going to go there. And it's just ridiculous. You just never know. And you can't do all the business for all the people.
No, you can't. Right.
So here is mine. And this has to do with networking within your client base.
Ooh.
Right?
Yes.
So I've got a wonderful group that I work with, Volunteer Now. And I'm trying to remember, actually, I think it was one of my radio connections that led me into this group years ago. And we worked with them. So they're kind of a warehouse or a clearinghouse for volunteers, matching them with nonprofits in the Metroplex.
Oh, wow.
Super cool concept. I love what they do. I love what they stand for. And we have some of their benefits in there. But with that, I want to help them get their message right? So I said, hey, Chris, who can I talk to about having one of your new business development or community service ambassadors talk to our mid-market professionals Dallas group about team building by getting involved in the community. So as we look forward to 2023, a lot of people are looking for, I want to revamp, I want to give more, I want to be more involved in charities and whatever. And so they were so thrilled with that. So now I have them scheduled for an upcoming meeting, and that will give them a voice. Now that helps me have a larger voice within the company. But then beyond that, so while I'm at the meeting this week, they had a problem with one of their vendors, caterer. And I said, hey, just, my husband can give you referrals because that's where Mr. Powers lives in his world. He's pretty deep into that whole catering thing. They're like, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. So we forget that even though it's not directly in our wheelhouse, just being a resource to our clients is a networking component.
Oh, a big one.
They were so thrilled. They said, hey, next year, you need to make sure that you call Mr. Powers on that stuff.
Oh, that's great.
It is. And we forget, just going to a client is transactional if it's one and done. But if you can begin to find out where their pain points are too, and then help them network within a business community, that's beautiful.
And that's, again, what we're trying to show our audience through our podcast is changing the networking mindset.
Yeah.
Take the blinders off of saying, I just got to find leads.
Yeah.
From
and
people.
make a sale.
Right. And make us. Yeah, exactly. It's much more. You can give support, give advice, give energy,
That's right.
All kinds of stuff.
I could have just gone in there and done the employee enrollment.
Yeah.
Told my spiel, walked away with my applications and been done until next year. But I really believe in what they do. And I want to forge a relationship that goes beyond the business card.
Yeah,
right. So
absolutely. That's great.
That was mine. So
that's
I loved
awesome.
it. Made me feel good. And I was excited to be able to help them too. So
cool.
So yay. So when we come back, this is really, really going to be good. You're going to love this guy if you don't already know him, George Burchlaw.
Super guy.
He is.
Super guy.
And he is going to talk on accountability. So I love this discussion. So when we come back.
Are you having trouble with your VoIP phone system? Smart Office USA to the rescue. We're a local company here in DFW with real people, certified technicians, and we even come to your office to help you. Smart Office USA, representing the #1 VoIP phone system on the planet. And we are right here in DFW, ready to help you. Call us 214-272-0921 or go to www.smartofficeusa.com.
Good subject coming up because we have George Burchlaw in the house. Woo!
Welcome, George.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
He's your new BFF, isn't he?
Well, he's the guy to talk about accountability. And that's a subject we sales guys hate to talk about.
Yeah.
There's something about accountability that, it must be not in our DNA. And this is the guy to learn from. So I'm going to be taking notes, George.
Excellent. Appreciate it, Rob.
That's right. Well, we thought, we always kind of take the people that we're having conversations with that lead into a subject that we really want to tackle. And so we're like, accountability and George Burchlaw. So it just made perfect sense. You need to connect with them. So George Burchlaw on LinkedIn for sure. And I'm going to make sure that I've got this. So he's a principal over at RE Analytics, and we met a year ago. I was like, oh my gosh, you need to learn about this company. So do some due diligence, get to know George, have a one-on-one with him. And then before that, Beck Ventures. And then before that, Forest City Enterprises. So pretty extensive background in this area, in real estate, commercial real estate for sure. Education, University of Texas at Austin. UT, Hook 'em Horns. But before that, Pennsylvania.
Penn State.
Penn State. So you're appealing both to the...
I've got both things covered.
That's right.
One year, either football team's good. So sometimes Penn State's good, sometimes Texas is good. So either, by either one year, I've got a good football team to root for.
That's right. And again, why we thought, too, that George would be great was because we just met a year ago.
We did.
And so you were thrown into networking because...
Yes.
Yeah, right?
I started a business and kind of drum up business, and how do I get out there and get my name out and get the company name out? So can't sit around. You got to go out there and meet people.
That's right. Got to meet people, and then you have to make money.
Meet people, build their trust, then make money. Right.
Yeah. That's right. And we were talking about, so Rob, early on, before the camera started rolling, we were talking about just the broad scope of accountability. What does accountability mean to you?
I think you're going to accomplish the goal that you set, and that you need to have a plan of how you're going to do that.
Amen.
Okay. So, and George had a bit of a different take, and I was really interested in when you're like mulling around accountability and networking. How does the application work for you?
Well, I think there's two areas. So basically, one is if you meet someone at a networking event and you say, hey, this person is great. Hey, I know I can connect with someone. You don't want to promise them the moon to say, hey, I can introduce you to the president of the company tomorrow. This will be great. You kind of want to scale back and really kind of promise what you can deliver. Yeah. And so once you kind of meet someone, I'd say I'd like to give myself 24 hours to 48 hours to get that invitation out there, the introduction, and basically put that together. So basically there's some momentum. And so if I can help that person, great. So that's keeping myself accountable to the other people in the networking group.
So if you go to a networking event,
yes,
right, it might be your first time at the event, or there are a lot of new people and you're meeting those people, and immediately some triggers begin to happen. You're like, boy, I think those could be good people for me to talk with.
Right.
What is your accountability in those situations when all of a sudden, because it happens sometimes, like the wheels are turning, but you don't have like a notepad? So what's your accountability there?
It's challenging if you want to go out there and meet everybody, that's going to be a little tough. So basically, I try to focus on meeting like 3 or 4 key people that I can really develop a relationship with and I can really help. So I don't try to do the scatter shot. If I kind of connect with 3 or 4 people, which is great, and be able to realize, can I really help this person? And if I can, like I said, I try to get that introduction out between 24 and 48 hours.
Okay. So the introduction goes out.
Yes.
And then you schedule your one-on-one.
This is an introduction from someone to someone in my network.
Okay. So not the introduction of you guys sitting down. So you're actually taking that networking event. We've never met.
We've never met.
And you hear some triggers that you say, hey, I think I know some VoIP systems people for Rob.
Exactly.
Right.
So from that event, you're already making introductions.
24 hours. I want to keep that momentum because we've met the person and basically developed the relationship. How can I build some trust with this person? So if I can offer my network to that person, I'd be happy to do it.
Okay. So now the accountability becomes 2. So now you know Rob and he does VoIP systems, and you're introducing him to somebody that you think could help him on some level, right? Mm-hmm. So now you have an accountability to this other person to make sure this new person you met, that it happens. How do you handle that introduction?
Well, I make the introduction and I hope they connect. And sometimes I'd follow up to say, hey, did you guys connect? Or if I'm copied on the email, that's great that I know these people made the connection. If not, I might send a nudge to say, hey, I think you guys really would be great networking partners. Why don't you guys connect? I think it'll help. So I try, after a week, I try to kind of give that nudge if nothing's happened.
And to follow up with that, George is good at that because I gave him, we had a one-on-one, a couple of months ago, and I gave him a couple of leads. They kind of didn't respond. He sent me an email back following up saying, hey, Rob, can you kind of nudge him? Well, just today, got one of my people had sent him an email about that. So George did the follow-up, helped nudge me. I nudged my guy, and so he was kind of ready for it. So yeah, George did the perfect job here.
I can't help but think that somehow by having this discussion about accountability that it made it happen. I don't know why.
It's like I'm talking to Rob, I better send that email out, and then next thing you know, I heard back from the person.
That's right. what happens if accountability isn't reciprocated back to you?
Well, I want to be the person, I can't help that, but basically I want to be the person that has the relationship or has the reputation to say, I will connect people.
Yeah.
And if someone doesn't do that, I kind of let it slide. I mean, that's okay. And maybe follow up. It all depends. If they have a great connection that I think would be really valuable for my company, probably in a couple of days, I'd say, hey, can you make that connection?
Yeah.
But if not, I just kind of let it go.
Okay. Do you have an accounting system that helps you? And I don't mean like necessarily adding up things in columns, but at least kind of keeping track?
Absolutely. We live and die by our CRM. So basically, I think you had that CRM episode a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Fascinating. And, in addition to the context, it's kind of setting up tasks to say, hey, I met this person. In a week, I'm going to do this. In 2 weeks, I'm going to do that. So we set up tasks. But without that, we would be kind of floundering, really.
You just be like, it's all swimming around in my head, and I hope I can remember it tomorrow.
I don't know how people do it. And basically systematic, I send this email out, I'm going to follow up in 2 weeks, and it pops up on my calendar, and it helps me keep accountable. Okay. Absolutely.
Now, do you have you ever thought about having like an accountability partner? I'm at that point now where I'm thinking like I really seriously got to take that seriously, where I've got to find a partner to hold me, because I'm good at setting goals. I'm good at putting my checklist together, but I kind of need a kick in the butt every once in a while.
Absolutely. I think there's a huge business opportunity in offering this service to entrepreneurs who kind of, they're their own boss, which is great. And they're kind of, talking to their employees and talking to their clients, but really no one is really holding them accountable to networking. So I think there's a huge business opportunity to, have a check-in once a week, for an hour with an entrepreneur to say, hey, where'd you go last week? Who did you meet? Did you follow up with that person? And I think it would kind of get me more focused and making those connections and kind of staying on track of things. I think there's a huge business opportunity.
Is that a life coach though? Do they?
I don't know if but I want someone to get really deep into it, kind of review my calendar and kind of go through the emails I'm sending. And maybe it's like, hey, I don't know what to say to this person. Have them help me draft the email and kind of really get into my business. But I think that would be great.
It would be great. So, 2 shout outs here. One is for Rob's accountability partner. You've heard this multiple times on any of the episodes. If you want to be his accountability partner, please email at info@networktodaydfw.com. And the other thing is, if somebody's a budding entrepreneur, that would be a great concept if all you do is just an hour of business accountability per week.
I think it would be great.
With multiple people.
I would definitely hire them.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
He would be your very first customer. So.
Absolutely. Send me the resumes. I'll take a look at them, and hopefully we can do business.
That's right. So, and I love hearing entrepreneurs' stories. So tell me a little bit about how RE Analytics got started.
Well, it's a long story, and kind of the origins of it started from like 2003. So I was working at a private equity company, and we had this massive portfolio, and we really couldn't track or understand any of the investments. And we had like 70 assets in the portfolio, and no one really understood what was going on with all 70. So I said, we can't operate like that. So let's develop a platform to really track all the investments. So that was kind of early 2003, 4, and then kind of had this idea always kind of brewing in the back of my mind. What if I take this platform and market it to other small to mid-sized real estate companies? So in 2019, I was like, let's take the plunge. And in 2020, I did. So.
Woo, 2020. Wow. How lucky were you? Yes.
Exactly.
But you not only survived, you thrived. And I love that.
Thank you.
So, little known fact about yourself. Do you know one about George that I don't know?
Well, I knew because of our one-on-one that he was a graduate of Penn State. I didn't know about the Longhorn relationship.
That is it. But another little known fact is I am a slightly below average rhythm guitar player. Ooh. So there's like average rhythm guitar players. I'm just like one notch right below that. So I've been practicing for probably over 20 years, lessons on and off, but really enjoy it.
Oh, cool.
Man, okay. Cool. Here in a jam session. It's going to come together. I know it will. So George Burchlaw, spell the last name for us, please.
Burchlaw.
All right. And you're going to find him on LinkedIn and anywhere else you went?
Just LinkedIn for now.
Okay, just LinkedIn. All right. You want to get to know George. He's not only such a smart, accomplished entrepreneur, but he's just the nicest guy you'll ever meet.
Oh, thanks so much. And thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, our pleasure. So we will be back. I think George is just so likable. What a great personality and professional at the same time. He's just so balanced.
And he is so darn smart.
That's right. And there's that. Lots of brains. Lots of gray matter there. So in talking about accountability is a pretty broad subject. I know we mentioned that, but did he really touch on some things for you that were like, hey, I hadn't really thought about applying accountability to that aspect of my networking life?
Well, I've been kind of preparing for this episode, so I've done a little bit of research.
Okay.
So, but what I just like the way that he reinforced the factor of you got to have and hold yourself accountable. But what I like too is that, again, it was just that reminder that for me as a sales guy, accountability is not in my DNA. It's something I've really got to work hard. And again, George emphasized the importance of that.
Yeah, and he measures the accountability through a CRM tool. I didn't ask about CRM tool, though.
Oh yeah, we need to get back with him on that.
Yeah, we need to know, because if it's something new and different, we need to add it to our list, because obviously he likes it. Mm-hmm. And off camera, we talked about some of the ones we don't. So yeah, kind of working through that. But I think having an accountability system to make you accountable, for me, and I was quite surprised because I do not do this, or I rarely do this, and that's meeting somebody at a networking event. And then I have some triggers of, hey, I think they'd be a great introduction to this person. But for me, I'm all about, okay, now let's schedule a one-on-one.
Yeah.
So, because I have a hard time putting my brand, and we all have a brand. Mm-hmm, it's, Rob Inc., it's Sheryl Inc. Yeah. We all have that. And if we invest that into making an introduction from somebody we barely know to somebody we do know better, and it doesn't go well, I'm just always afraid. But it's worked for him. So...
Well, and George practiced what he preaches, because again, when we had our one-on-one, he found out what my wife did on the construction specifications. Well, he has a buddy back in Penn State that his eyes lit up when he heard what she was doing, and he has followed up with me. I mean, over a half a dozen times. And he's got no interest. I mean, he's not going to make any money. But he was just excited because he saw the potential of how it could help his alumni and so on back in Penn State. But his follow-up has just been incredible.
And this accountability, it's so interesting that the two episodes of accountability and reciprocity are up against one another, because they really go hand in hand.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
right.
Absolutely.
Right. So the law of reciprocity works through the law of accountability. Right. So when you're accountable and you're working in that reciprocal space, then magic happens while you're networking.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have no doubt that George's success, especially starting his business in 2020, oh my gosh. And the fact that he's been able to take a real estate business, and we may be headed into some turbulent waters, which even speaks to the importance of building a solid networking community around you. People who can refer into you to help shore up some of those leaks that might happen during an economic, commercial real estate downturn. That makes all that accountability so important. It's priceless. It's invaluable what he's created.
Yeah, I mean, he walks the talk, and just in my short time of knowing him, with the leads I share with him, he's helped me be more accountable to myself, which then helps him. Yeah. But again, it's such a great lesson for me. So I'm really appreciative of what he's done.
Yes. Well, George, can't wait to have you back on. We'll talk about accountability in some other form or fashion, because it's a pretty broad subject, I'm sure, again soon. You're smart. You're watching this. But did you know that 2 out of every 3 Americans will deal with a legal issue this year? Half of those will spend 13 days working on those issues. At Empowered Advantage, we help with the stuff of life. Letter M as in marvelous, poweredadvantage.com. And we're back after the great discussion with George. So more thoughts on accountability. Let's really drill down and give some great action items and takeaways.
I think my number one takeaway is you got to get an accountability partner.
Right.
You can't do it by yourself.
Yeah.
And it's hard to hold yourself accountable.
Yeah.
We can always take the easy way out here. But no, you've got to make a commitment. So I am committed, Sheryl. 2023, in the next 4 to 6 weeks, I'm looking for an accountability partner.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you along those lines, this is really interesting. So, I'm not a huge fan of some of the networking groups. right? Just personally, I think
Right.
there's a lot of value to them, but
Right.
for me, they don't work.
Right.
So, but I happened to run across this article when I Googled B2B networking accountability, right?
Okay.
This is one of the things that came up. And this is from the founder of BNI.
Okay.
Right. So accountability for business success. And this is what he said. So who is the gentleman who does
Ivan Meisner.
That's who it is. Well done, you.
Dr. Ivan
That's
Meisner.
right. That's right. Don't forget that. So this is what he wrote. And I thought it was really good. I have found that one of the strengths of a network is that most of the members are friends. And I have found that one of the weaknesses of a network is that most of the members are friends.
Friends. Yeah.
And friends don't like to hold friends accountable. I thought that was really good because that
Wow.
kind of hits the nail on the head for, I think, why a lot of us who are in networking circles and we get super friendly and it's a networking family that we forget or we don't want to because we don't want to spoil that relationship.
And we don't want to become too transparent, where they can really understand what's going on, right?
Yeah, that's right. Because if we show we're vulnerable or there's some, weaknesses
there, yeah.
that it might get exposed.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
A very good point.
I know. So what are some of the other points? I know you've got some things highlighted there.
Well, I think, again, it goes back to you got to have it's everything. You got to have a system. You got to put your plan together before you can get started.
Right.
And I think that's the whole thing is, guys, take the time before the end of the year is to put your plan together for 2023. What are your goals going to be? And then my big thing is keeping the daily, weekly scorecard.
Right.
You've got to, if you don't measure it, how can you improve the results?
Yeah.
You're just winging it. And I'm tired of doing that. I am committed, Sheryl, and I want you to hold me accountable. But, you've got to have the plan. You've got to have an accountability partner, and you got to keep scorecard.
That's right. So if you aren't familiar with this resource, we've talked about it several times, but I know that sometimes it takes 3, 4, 10 times to hear it. But go to purplecowbranding.com, and you're going to tap on the free resources tab there, and you're going to see the network scorecard.
Yeah.
And that's a super great way to begin, especially if you're new to networking, or if you're like, I'm going to get on the accountability wagon.
Right. Yeah.
Right? I need some stick-to-itiveness to my networking. And that networking scorecard will help you do that. Because like George said, he actually finds a couple of key people, 3 or 4 within a group that he can really dig in with, associate with, and then refer to.
Yeah.
Right. So I found that really good because a lot of us are the broad scattershot, right? So
exactly.
Yeah. So I thought that was really good. What's next?
Well, I think we're ready to wrap it up.
With our action items?
Yeah, with the action items. If you want to just review those one more time for us.
Yes. So, number 1, make sure you get an accountability partner, and probably would be good if it's not a friend.
Yeah, I like what you just said there. Yeah, I think I always just thought of my close friends in networking, but the point of you might not want to be too vulnerable in front of them, therefore you're not going to. And again, by not really jumping in and share that, I don't think it's going to work for you.
That's right. So have a plan, set your goals. I'll tell you one of the things. This is super simple. If you don't have a CRM. Right. I know George referred to his. I still have the ways that I work, but this is an easy way. So in my Gmail calendar, what I do is I identify how many networking meetings by an NW in front of my meeting, a DM in front of a decision maker meeting.
Oh.
That way I can put in my search bar how many meetings I'm having of each.
Oh, I like
EE
that.
for employee enrollment. So I can keep track of how many. And that's kind of my accountability system. And that allows me to track to a degree my, what kind of meetings, the percentage of this versus this versus this.
Right.
So that's been kind of helpful. And then having a scorecard is good. You should begin though. Once you start this, don't you think that you get a feel in the pit of your belly like, hey, this thing isn't like this particular networking group or this association or chamber or whatever just isn't working for me.
Yeah.
Right. And sometimes it's because you're not working for it, but maybe it's just not a gel, right? There's just
I think that's where the accountability partner comes in too, is that it kind of opens your eyes a little bit where, if that chamber wasn't working out, well, the accountability partner is going to say, well, what are you doing? How many people did you reach out to and so on? So it could be a little bit of a wake up call, slap in the face type of thing. And we need it.
Yeah. Back to item number 6, right?
Yeah.
It's on you.
It's on you. Yeah, love it. Love it.
You typically give as much as you get as much as you give.
Yeah.
So that's good. I think this is really good as we kind of wrap this year up.
Perfect timing.
And it's almost like it was scripted like that. So, I wonder who did that. So we've got another great topic coming up, and just prepare yourself too, because we're going to do a year-end wrap.
Yes, I'm excited about that.
I am too. So we're going to highlight and spotlight all of the things, but we want to hear from you. If there are topics that we're not touching on, please, we want to hear from you. If there's something that you loved, or just a thought, or just a success story, right? info@networktodaydfw.com. Be sure to subscribe with your email so that you can get Rob's book review through his Rob's Library. And you can get my tech tools as I review some of the electronic components to our networking life. So
I think we're ready to wrap it up.
we are.
Here
All
we
right.
go.
Cheers to us. Cheers to networking. See you all later. We're Network Today, where we take you from meeting people to
Making money.
That's right. See you next week.
This has been a Purple Cow production.